Yesterday, the Ford government tabled its roughly $214 billion budget, and it's the most expensive in Ontario's history. Well, today we're looking for context, reaction, some insight. Andrew Mcdougall is the assistant professor at the University of Toronto, focusing on Canadian politics and public law. We're looking for some of that from you today. Andrew, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure.
I'm wondering if there were any surprises for you in this budget.
No, actually, I think to a certain degree it was a very safe budget, to be honest with you. And in that, I think it reflected the fact that the government's kind of halfway through its mandate, and it's not got an immediate election coming up over the horizon, but it's not sort of just coming through one either. So it was a fairly safe budget, to be honest with you. There were, of course, some interesting things that came out of it. Sort of the announcement, maybe there might be some new helicopters that would be bought, and it seemed it was focusing on some pretty clear priorities for Ontarians like healthcare and public safety and so forth. But it was very much, I think, a budget from a government that's midway through its term, and it might want to give itself some opportunities later on to make some big announcements. So it was a safe budget that focused on the priorities.
Now, the deficit is increasing here, but it's projected to stabilize just before, you guessed it, the next provincial election. How important is it for the Ford government to have that happen before we go vote next?
Well, they're going to want to be able to go into the next election by saying that they are clearly the best economic stewards, that they've done the best job with the economy, that the books are in good shape, and that economy is well, and that Ontario is well positioned for the future. So there are going to be other opportunities to do that a little bit further on. For right now, though, they are dealing with the fact that with rising interest rates, the economy is not doing quite as well as it might have been, or the way that it had been projected to be. And I think the budget kind of reflects a little bit of that reality. So I think they want to keep some of their powder dry for the future.
You touched on this a little right there, but I'm wondering what this spending plan is telling you about the current state of our economy in Ontario.
Well, I think they're still dealing, as a lot of Ontarians are, with the rising interest rates and the fact that it's cooling down a little bit from projections. So I think the budget wanted to signify that they've got their eye on what they see as the priorities of Ontarians. So there was money for healthcare for sure. There was money for public safety and some other priorities. But it's, I think it's also one that is aware of the fact that the economy is not doing quite as well as they thought, and it reflects that.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow has said she's happy with the investments being made in housing by the province. She's using the word hopeful. I wonder just how key it is to have the City of Toronto in line with what Ontario is presenting as their budget.
I think that's going to be very welcome by the Ford government, especially on the question of housing. I mean, housing has been by far one of the most important political priorities here in the province. It's something that everybody's talking about. It's certainly something people in Toronto are very much aware of. So the fact that the mayor of Toronto has got behind this budget a little bit, I think is good news for the people at Queen's Park.
Andrew Mcdougall with the University of Toronto, thanks so much for your time today.
Always a pleasure.